Welcome to the 7th episode of Hot Boxing Talk, South Africa's very own online boxing talk show. And this week we spoke to Gideon Buthelezi about his controversial decision against Luanda Sichata last week in East London, as well as having our weekly chat with sports journalist Hayden Jones and boxing journalist Cyril Lahong. And of course we caught up with legendary trainer and legendary boxer Harold Volbrecht. This is the 7th episode of Hot Boxing Talk. I've always said it, controversy is the lifeline of boxing. Sometimes you get controversial decisions in boxing. Most times, there's always controversy with a controversial decision. I caught up with boxing trainer Keith Rass and his charge Gideon Buthelezi to discuss their thoughts on the fight against Luanda Sichata for the IBO Junior Bantamweight Championship last week in East London. Here at the Hot Boxing Talk, we have leading boxing trainer in Johannesburg, Keith Rass, and his charge, former three-weight IBO world champion Gideon Buthelezi. Gentlemen, welcome to the Hot Boxing Talk show. I wanted to bring you in and obviously to discuss last week's controversy with Gideon losing. Keith, let me start with you. You never had an opportunity to give your side of the story. What do you think about the decision?
I think we won the fight as, we took the fight to the champion and we outboxed him. Clearly on the basis of that, based on smart boxing, based on anything that boxing required for a champion to win. We did more than enough to win the fight, but unfortunately, one of the judges saw it the other way and he gave it to the local boy.
You mean two of the judges?
Yeah, two of the judges.
Two of the
judges, I meant to say. And, as a split decision, it means that it was not fair in our favor. I thought maybe we won because of a split decision being given to us. Because the last time we went to Namibia, we also won on a split decision.
Gideon, let me ask you, you're the fighter. I mean, obviously you give the punches and take the punches, but I mean, it's a bitter loss for you now because it was your championship, you wanted to reclaim it, and this happens. How do you feel about the decision?
Yeah, I mean, look, the decision was like you said, we actually thought that we won the fight and that. So like after the fight, then announced that he won the split decision and that. I was actually, it wasn't a good decision actually. I was actually disappointed in it. But then coming to the way I was answering it, the comments, I was calm in that. Because there's actually time to deal with such in a well-managed way and that.
Absolutely.
So it was actually pointless of me, like maybe if I would boycott and that or make noise in the ring and that. So yeah, I would like to have a rematch with that and that.
So that was my next question. Keith, have you done anything, or you contacted the IBO, and what's your position now?
At the moment now, as we speak, we don't have to, I don't like to be hasty in my decisions. I would love to have a rematch with him, but in terms of my decisions by contacting the IBO, I need to sit down and see how am I going to do, what am I going to say, and based on that, I need to take a very careful decision on what I'm going to do.
Keith Rass, leading trainer in Johannesburg and a former three-weight IBO world champion. Gideon Buthelezi speaking to us here at the Hot Boxing Talk.
Hi, my name is Franz Lamabodi, the WBA Pan-African champion, and you're watching Hot Boxing Talk.
Well, as you can see, there are two people missing, and that's because we have our weekly chat with sports journalist Hayden Jones and boxing journalist Cyril Lahong right here on the Hot Boxing Talk. Hot Boxing Talk brings you our weekly chat with sports journalist Hayden Jones and boxing journalist Cyril Lahong. Cyril, let me start with you. A controversial week in South African boxing with Gideon Buthelezi losing a split decision in East London to Luandile Sichata for the IBO Junior Bantamweight title. A bad decision for boxing?
It's a terrible decision. I think the Eastern Cape's just building such a bad reputation. Yeah, I think they should find a way to review judges' decisions. Decisions like that should be looked at again, and yeah, it was just a bad decision.
Kind of a sad ending for Ali Funeka's reign as the IBO welterweight champion, who's making his first defense against Gideon Buthelezi. What's your take on him now at the age of 37? Where does he go from here?
Well, he's really got to sit back and have a look at his career now, because even a guy like Buthelezi doesn't have a really good record, and if you underestimate someone like him, these sort of things happen in boxing. So where to from here?
There was also allegations of Muti and so forth. Your opinion on that?
I think the opposition made up some stories there. I don't see how they compare.
So let me ask you, the Cinderella man of boxing, I mean, Buthelezi, 10 wins, 7 losses and 2 draws. I mean, how's that for a record for a world champion?
That's quite amazing. Well, he had been calling Ali Funeka out for a long time, and I personally didn't think he could do it, and he did it.
Keeping on the local front, last night Flo Simba got knocked out in the first round for the 4th time. It's his 5th loss, 4 in the first round. What does the future hold for Flo Simba now?
It doesn't look good. It doesn't look very good for him. It does. I mean, you keep getting knocked out. I think he should consider giving it up. And
Hayden, if you were his trainer or manager, how would you advise Flo? Would you tell him to quit, or would you tell him to carry on?
I think it's very dangerous. I mean, it's been well documented that he suffers from diabetes as well. So, what is there to gain out of the sport? I would probably advise him to consider his career and maybe call it quits.
International flavour, Gennady Golovkin has signed to fight on the 19th of October in Madison Square Garden, David Lemieux, in an IBF WBA, let me just get this right, IBO and WBC interim championship. So they're going to basically unify. Mouth-watering, isn't it?
amazing. Big punches. Somebody's going down. I love it. It's a beautiful fight.
I mean, with that kind of knockout power, you suspect it's not going to go 12 rounds. Somebody has to get knocked out.
Oh, I love this fight. It's such a good thing for boxing.
So if you think about it, like we've had Floyd Mayweather fighting Manny Pacquiao in the fight of the century. I thought it was the event of the century. We've also got Canelo fighting Cotto now. That's also confirmed.
Yeah, well, that's exciting for boxing. All these, like what, Golden Boy promotions, things that are happening, it's competing with Al Heyman now as well. So they got to make all the fights because otherwise boxing's going to L.
Oscar De La Hoya Cyril at the beginning of the year said he's willing to work with every single promoter to make the best fights out there for world boxing. Your opinion on that?
That's brilliant. I hope it happens. You know, you want to see the best fighting the best. So always make for good fights.
So let me put you on the spot. Who wins, Lemieux or Golovkin?
Golovkin.
Golovkin.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Cyril Lahong, Hayden Jones, right here on the Hot Boxing Talk. Hot Boxing Talk caught up with legendary boxing trainer and former legendary boxer in Harold Volbrecht to discuss his highlights, lowlights of his boxing career as a professional trainer and as a professional boxer. South African boxing legend Harold Volbrecht, great fighter, great trainer. I wanted to bring you on to the Hot Boxing Talk show and I wanted to ask you about your career. Firstly, as a fighter, what was the highest point in your boxing career?
Well, I won the South African title at the age of 19. And at the time, you could only turn professional 19. So I turned professional at the age of 19, and within 7 months, I won the South African title. So and that was, a very high point for me in my boxing career, and I successfully defended it 19 times.
19 times you defended it. What was the lowest point in your professional career?
The lowest point is I went to America. They dropped me off in the middle of New York, in the middle of snow. I fought Mark Breland, and I picked up flu the first week. I ran knee deep in the snow. Eventually I couldn't swallow. I was supposed to fight at 147 pounds those days, and I came in at 142 pounds. I came in because I couldn't eat, I couldn't swallow. I did speak to my manager to postpone the fight. They wouldn't know anything about it. So that was, and I fought better guys than Mark Breland.
Harold Volbrecht has his boxing career over. What would you do differently and why?
I would do exactly the same. A lot of people don't know that. I had over 300 amateur fights. My whole career, amateur and professional, I fought as a southpaw, but I wasn't a southpaw. I write with my right hand. My first trainer was a professional boxer, Hottie van Heerden, and he was a southpaw, and he always showed me in the southpaw stance, and I thought that is how you fight. So I always had the right hand in the front, and yes, I enjoyed it, and if I wouldn't do anything different.
Let's talk about your career as a boxing trainer. You've pulled off probably some of the biggest upsets in South African boxing history. One comes to mind, Croy Saunders knocking out Vladimir Klitschko in 2 rounds in 2003 when no one gave you a chance. Talk us through some of the upsets and highlight. What's the highlight of your boxing career as a trainer?
Well, you know, when I started training fighters, I trained Brian Mitchell, which was inducted into the Wall of Fame. Then my first true world champion was Philip Holiday. He fought a guy with something like 48. He fought a guy with 48 fights with 45 knockouts. He was just an opponent, and we knew that we just getting the opportunity. And Philip didn't only beat this guy, he stopped him.
Stopped him in 11 rounds for the IBF title.
And Philip Holiday went on and he defended that title 7 times. Then came Sebastian Rothman. Same thing. I took a short notice fight for Sebastian Rothman. He fought a guy called Norton. Norton was supposed to fight a South African guy. The guy was ill. He pulled out of the fight. I asked Rodney Berman to push Sebastian Rothman into the fight. Short notice, he says you can't do that, it's like putting a man against a boy. I said to him, it doesn't matter. If Sebastian's got a good loss, it's good experience for him. Sebastian didn't only beat a guy, he stopped him, basically knocked him out. And then came Corey Sanders, you know. Biggest upset in the world was Corey Sanders. We went to Germany as an opponent, fighting Vladimir. And I remember clearly Vladimir style, you know, you have to outspeed him, and I will never forget, as we leave the dressing room and we walk to the ring, I said to Corey, change of plan, Corey. As the bell goes, you jump on this guy and let him have your hand speed. And that's what Corey did, you know, and we had other plans for the fight, but as I walked to the ring, I said to Corey, don't show respect, just jump on this guy.
What was the lowest point, or what is the lowest point in your boxing career as a boxing trainer?
Boxers that disappoint you. Boxers that you know that is world-class material. They're highly qualified, good fighters. But, you know, it's not like in the olden days. In the olden days, you go to the gym and you do your training, and boxing was number one. Today is difficult, you know. There's too many interference in a boxer's life that it makes things difficult as a trainer to train these guys, you know, and that is a problem for me.
Harold Volbrecht, South African boxing legend as a trainer and as a fighter here on Hot Boxing Talk. Well, there you have it. The 7th episode of Hot Boxing Talk comes to an end, unfortunately. From myself, Colin, Nomaganjani, Nathan, and
Hayden Jones.
we'll see you again next week.